Hey, RosterWatch Nation, it's your friendly neighborhood Trashman, and this is the Garbage Grab. Today I'm going to be talking about some of my safest draft picks in the upcoming 2020 draft for the NFL fantasy draft, that is. So I'm not going to be talking about your top 15, 20 picks, as it's a little bit too easy. So I'm going to be talking about guys you can get after pick 20 that are going to be safe, guys that you can just plug and play and forget about it. All right, so I'm going to start with running backs. The first of these is going to be Miles Sanders with an ADP of 22 right now. He had over 1,300 all-purpose yards and 6 touchdowns in 2019. Not much has really been done to improve the Eagles' backfield. In fact, I don't know what at all has been done to improve the Eagles' backfield. He has Boston Scott behind him. Boston Scott, I think, is 5'8", might be 5'6", I believe, somewhere in between that. Not more than 5'8". He's a small running back, more of a complimentary back, more of a pass catching back. He can run between the tackles, but he's more of a third down back. So Sanders shouldn't have any issues racking up the yardage this year, and he's a really good pass catching back too on a team that likes to throw the ball quite a bit. No real challenges to his touches outside of Scott unless they add somebody in the meantime. But it looks like Sanders is going to be really as safe as they come, and he's got a really high ceiling. After Sanders, I'd have Austin Ekeler with a 26 ADP right now. 1,550 all-purpose yards in 2019 with Melvin Gordon sharing the backfield with him. He has now Joshua Kelly and Justin Jackson back there. I guess together they can become Melvin Gordon. I'm not sure, but I just don't really see them being a threat to Ekeler's touches or to his production there in Los Angeles, especially with Tyrod Taylor being the quarterback now. I see them being really focused on the run and the short passing game. So I feel Austin Ekeler is as safe as they can come. I think he's a value there at pick 26. Speaking of value, the 2020 RosterWatch Ultimate Draft Cheat Sheet is available now at rosterwatch.com. The revolutionary cheat sheet that changed football forever is back, only at rosterwatch.com. The RosterWatch Ultimate Draft Cheat Sheet. All you have to do is follow 3 simple rules, just 3 of them. That's it. It couldn't be easier. An expert quality fantasy football draft is guaranteed. The RosterWatch Ultimate Draft Cheat Sheet, only at rosterwatch.com. Speaking of more value at the running back position, with an ADP of 60 right now, Todd Gurley of the Falcons. Gurley has had some injury troubles in the past since before moving to the Falcons. But considering that the Falcons didn't really do anything to beef up their backfield, I mean, Ito Smith and Brian Hill are his backups, and we know what they are capable of, and more importantly, what they aren't capable of. So Todd Gurley, if he's healthy, is going to have a huge bounce back year and provide a lot of value with an ADP of 60. I think he's really as safe as they come as far as running backs go, as far as his position is concerned in the hierarchy in the Falcons backfield. All right, so let's move to the wide receiver position. First off, I have Kenny Golladay with an ADP of 23. He actually led the league with 11 touchdowns in 2019, and this is with Matt Stafford only playing half of the games. He's had over 1,000 yards in his last 2 seasons. I mean, some people say, well, Marvin Jones is there and he's a threat to targets, but Marvin Jones has always been there with Golladay, really, and he hasn't really been a threat to targets. They've both been able to feast in that offense, and they really haven't done much to bolster the wide receiving core in the offseason. So I'm not worried about Galladay's production. I think he's going to be really maybe the safest wide receiver in the league this season outside of, the top 5 receivers. And he can end up being a top 5 receiver with Matt Stafford playing a full season. After him, I have Adam Thielen with an ADP of 28. This is an easy one. No Stefon Diggs. Yes, they added Justin Jefferson in his place, but I don't think he's as dynamic as a player as Diggs is. I think he's closer to Adam Thielen in kind of, their skill set. But really, the Vikings didn't do anything else really to help out their offense. So I think Adam Thielen, I think he gets a boost too, being really Kirk Cousins' safety blanket. With no Diggs there, he's going to be the guy that Cousins feels most comfortable with. So that helps him out there too. So Adam Thielen, really one of the safest wide receivers you're going to be able to pick up in the draft. And then after him, I have A.J. Brown. Yeah, and this may seem a little bit strange. It's only his second year, and he had a rookie season where he only caught 52 receptions. But with those 52 receptions, he had over 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns in his rookie season. And can you name another starting receiver for the Titans? I'll wait. Yeah, nothing's coming to mind, is it? And so A.J. Brown, I think he's going to be Mr. Reliable in that offense. Jonnu Smith is the new Delaney Walker, but it's really those two in the passing game. And so I'm not really concerned about A.J. Brown, it only being his second year and him not really getting that consistent of production in his rookie season. I think he's going to have an even more monster year, and he's going to be a guy you can start week in, week out in fantasy. After him, I have Mr. Reliable, Jarvis Landry, with an ADP of 65 right now. He's never missed a game in 6 seasons. Only 3 wide receivers have top 24 finishes over the last 5 seasons. They are Julio Jones, Mike Evans, and Jarvis Landry. So there really hasn't been a more consistent receiver in the past 5 seasons than Jarvis Landry. It doesn't really matter what team he's playing for or who his quarterback is. He's going to produce for you. And so then let's move on to tight ends. I have a couple of them for you. First of these is George Kittle with an ADP of 20. He averaged 86 receptions, 1,100 yards, and 5 touchdowns over the last 2 years. He has been the linchpin for the 49ers over that span of time. There are some other playmakers that the 49ers have, but there's nobody that I really would depend on a week-to-week basis like I can George Kittle, who is about to set the record, I'm sure, for however much a tight end can get paid with his upcoming contract. He's not just a premier pass catcher, but he's one of the best pass blocking tight ends in the league. After Kittle, I have Zach Ertz with an ADP of 36. He's been solid even with the addition to Dallas Goedert to the Philadelphia Eagles offense. He had 926 yards, 6 touchdowns on 15 games last season. He really is the safest pass catcher in the Eagles offense, and I think Carson Wentz knows that. So after tight end, I threw in a couple quarterbacks there, and they're kind of similar in their skill set and their profiles, and that's Russell Wilson with a 55 ADP. He's had over 4,000 all-purpose yards, over 31 touchdowns in 4 of his last 5 seasons. And this is on a run-heavy team that's trying to get away from that run heaviness, or at least Russell Wilson is pushing them to get away from that run heaviness. So even if they run the ball, continue to run the ball, Russell Williams is really safe. If you know me, you know I love quarterbacks that can run the ball, and Russell Wilson is the epitome of that. And so I think there really isn't a quarterback as safe as Wilson, with a floor as safe as Wilson's. A quarterback who I think might have a floor as safe as Wilson's or as high as Wilson's is Kyler Murray with an ADP of 57. He was the number 7 quarterback in fantasy in 2019 in his rookie season, and honestly up and down season for Murray. Still, with his feet, he was able to maintain a high floor, and that's what you want out of your quarterback. I love running quarterbacks because of their floors. So I think he's going to be similar to Russell Wilson, and him just being really consistent and really productive with a high ceiling and a high floor for the duration of his career, and at least for this upcoming season, especially with the addition of a true number 1 receiver in DeAndre Hopkins. Anyways, these are my safest picks for drafts. this upcoming season so far. Again, this has been the Trashman on behalf of RosterWatch.com. If you like what you're hearing, if you like what you heard, please give us a comment. Please give us a follow. Tell us what you want us to make content about. Tell us the content that you've already enjoyed getting from us. We want to hear from you, Roster Watch Nation. And until then, be safe and be ready. Peace.